Good morning. It is 7:04 a.m. on Tuesday, August 21st, 2018. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. Definitely need to move my alarm earlier. But I did succeed in going to bed at a reasonable hour last night, so good on me. I watched in between doing a few other things like getting some podcast posts put up. I finished watching part one. It doesn't call it season one; it calls it part one in the program. But Netflix's Disenchantment, which is the new animated series from Matt Groening, who did The Simpsons and Futurama. A little bit of mixed feelings, even just going into it, just because of the recent controversy regarding Apu on The Simpsons and not especially appreciating the creator's response to that whole thing. So I decided to watch it anyway, obviously, but worth mentioning that there's that still reservation still that hasn't really been satisfactorily resolved. However, lots of people work on the show. I don't need to hold the whole show against it necessarily, but the new show, if you haven't seen the promos or anything, is fantasy based as opposed to where Futurama was all about like future and sci-fi and stuff like that. Disenchantment is fantasy, right? It takes place in a medieval kingdom. There's elves and demons and magic and so on. And there's a interesting gag early on where it's like, hey, you can't park that ship here. And the guy goes, yeah, well, my flaming arrow says I can. And then the guy says, no, wait, do you have an actual talking arrow? Or is it just a figure of speech? Because actual magic happens sometimes. And I like worlds where fantastical things can happen, but I feel like setting the ground rules can really help too. And then the guy shoots him. And so it's that kind of show. What I will say is that it starts pretty slow, especially compared to what you might be used to with something like Futurama. It's definitely not jam-packed with jokes. It's slower moving. It is more interested, I think, in telling a continuous narrative, which is, of course, the trend these days. But I would definitely say anyone who watches the first couple and is feeling like it's slow, yeah, it is. I will say that as I continued to watch it, it did grow on me. And in particular, I think my affection for the two of the three main characters, Bean and Lucifer, uh, or Lucille. I don't know. I can't remember now what the actual name was. Lucy's what they say sometimes, but also that character just doesn't get referred to by name all that often. The basic three main characters are Bean. Tia Bina is her full name, and she is the princess of this kingdom, but she's kind of a troublemaker and dissatisfied with her lot in life. And then the aforementioned Lucy, is a demon that gets sent to bond with her and becomes kind of like a sidekick that's a constant bad influence. Like the gag is that he is constantly encouraging her to do bad things. And the show actually occasionally briefly touches on how that's actually kind of not a cool thing for Lucy to do, but mostly doesn't, and it kind of works on the idea that he maybe does actually care about her on top of all of that, even though he encourages her worst impulses. It's a little strange there, but that said, just the moment to moment fun of him constantly encouraging her to do reckless things is pretty entertaining. And then Elfo is the third main character, who is an elf who likewise was dissatisfied with being a candy maker with all the other elves, and has come there, and he gets crush on Bean, and he's kind of a sap, and I don't know, like his character is okay. I liked him more at the end of the series than at the end of the season than I did at the beginning, but just the same, certainly my least favorite of the three. But I think that I finished the available episodes, which is 10 episodes. More a fan of, like, surprise. I was surprised myself at how much I liked some of the characters, and was definitely entertained and intrigued to see where it goes, because it's definitely got sort of a larger A plot story going on. And so that's Disenchantment. I liked it, but yeah, if you've checked out the first couple of episodes and feel like it's slow, yeah. So I feel like that is a legitimate thing to hold against the show, but I did like it more as it went on. Anyway, I've got to go ahead and get moving, so I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.